Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to this last leg of webinar series entitled In the Public Trust, CPAs Overcoming Challenges to Uphold Integrity in the Government. So the third part of this afternoon webinar is about ethical challenges faced by CPAs and how to overcome them. So these are the outlines of our discussion today. First, what are the common ethical dilemmas faced by accountants in the government? Second, the frameworks and guidelines for ethical practice. And what are the strategies to overcome ethical challenges? And the last one would be the real-world examples of strategies to overcome ethical dilemmas in the Philippine context. To start off, these are the common. We can identify a lot more examples of ethical dilemmas in government, but these are the common not only for accountants but also for most of the government officials and employees in the government. So number one, John, would be the conflict of interest. No, so government CPAs or government officials and employees most as oftentimes encounter situations where personal interest might conflict with the professional duties. So this can range from relationships with contractors and political pressures. Second, we have this fraud and corruption. So an example would be misappropriation of funds, bribery, pressure to falsify reports or overlook discrepancies. Third, we have the political pressure, influence from politicians and higher ups, and there's a challenge on the part of the government officials and employees to navigate, between compliance and directives from the higher ups. And last would be the confidentiality issues, so handling sensitive information, balancing transparency with confidentiality. So that is a challenge. Bakit nagkakaroon ng ethical dilemmas or fraud, So, there is this fraud triangle theory and sinasabi dito that if the three elements, the opportunity, rationalization, motive, and pressure are present, nagkakaroon ng fraud. So, ano yung opportunity? So, maybe nagkakaroon ng opportunity because there is lack of or weakness in the internal control or medyo mahina yung oversight ng senior management. They are not watching what the employees are doing, So, kaya nagkakaroon ng opportunity yung mga employees or the officials, to commit fraud. Second, nandun yung motive or pressure. So, maybe merong personal financial pressure on the part of the employee. Kaya gusto niya mag-commit ng fraud, And then, yung iba naman, nasanay na, Yung, nandun na yung addiction nila to commit fraud. So, yon. And third is the rationalization or nagbibigay sila ng justification to why they are committing fraud, So, sabi dito, I haven't received a raise, kaya napilitan siya na gumawa ng hindi maganda, or iba naman, a classic example, yung iba sabi, ginagawa naman ng lahat, so gagawin ko na rin, kahit hindi naman yun tama, So yun, rationalization. So kapag present po yung tatlong elements na to, so most probably magkakaroon ng fraud. So yan. Now, the next topic would be the frameworks and guidelines for ethical practice. So, there are a lot of frameworks and guidelines for ethical practice, but for purposes of this presentation, I have classified them into three. So, number one would be the 1987 Philippine Constitution and other enabling laws. Second, the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants under RA 9298, which were discussed already by the previous speaker. And the third is the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, or UNCAC. So there are several constitutional provisions, Under Article 2, Section 27 of the Philippine Constitution, it states that the state shall maintain honesty and integrity in the public service and take positive and effective measures against graft and corruption. We also have under Section 28 of the same article, it says that subject to reasonable conditions prescribed by law, the state adopts and implements a policy of full public disclosure of all its transactions involving public interest. However, this is not absolute. There are some limitations, especially if it involves matters of national security. So that is an exception to this provision. We also have under Article 11, Section 1. In fact, the entire Article 11 pertains to accountability of public officers. But under Section 1, it says that public office is a public trust. Public officers and employees must at all times be accountable to the people, serve them with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency, act with patriotism and justice, and lead modest lives. So we have this enabling law under Republic Act number 6713, no? So this is an act establishing a code of conduct and ethical standards for public officials and employees. So under Section 4 of Republic Act number 6713, no, it requires that every public officials and employees shall observe the following 8 standards of personal conduct in the discharge and execution of official duties. So number 1, commitment to public interest. So government officials and employees shall always uphold the public interest over and above personal interests. Public interest is defined as the collective well-being of the community of people and institutions the professional accountant serves. So second, professionalism. So government officials and employees shall perform and discharge their duties with the highest degree of excellence, professionalism, intelligence, and skill. Third, public officials and employees shall remain true to the people at all times. And fourth, public officials and employees shall provide service to everyone without unfair discrimination and regardless of party affiliation or preference. Fifth, extend prompt, courteous, and adequate service to the public. Provide information of their policies and procedures in clear and understandable language. Ensure openness of information, public consultation, and hearings. Encourage suggestions, simplify and systematize policy, rules, and procedures, and avoid red tape. 6. To be loyal to the Republic of the Philippines and to the people. Promote the use of locally produced goods, resources, and technology, and encourage appreciation and pride of country and people. They shall endeavor to maintain and defend Philippine sovereignty against foreign intrusion. 7. Public officials and employees shall commit themselves to the democratic way of life and values and maintain the principle of public accountability, manifest by deeds the supremacy of civilian authority over the military. They shall at all times uphold the Constitution and put loyalty to country above loyalty to persons or party. And last, public officials and employees and their families shall lead modest lives appropriate to their positions and income. They shall not indulge in extravagant or ostentatious display of wealth in any form. We also have this United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which the Philippines is a signatory, and it was ratified by the Philippine Congress on November 8, 2006. So moving on to the strategies to overcome ethical challenges. So there are many, but I have classified them for the purpose of this presentation into 3. Number 1, the strengthening of personal ethics. So through continuous professional education, we will be able to overcome the challenge of ethical dilemmas. Second, organizational measures through establishment of a strong internal controls. Uh, Meron din yung whistleblower program, ethical leadership and culture. Third is leveraging of technology. So use of audit management software, data analytics to fraud detection. So deterrence to fraud, kung meron tayong technology. So in order to implement the previously stated constitutional provision regarding integrity in the public sector or in the public service, so we have this government's anti-corruption initiatives under Executive Order number 176 issued in December 2014. So it institutionalizes the integrity management program. So it aims to systematize and implement integrity building across the entire bureaucracy. So the lead agencies for the development of the IMP are the Office of the Ombudsman and the Office of the President. So ano yung objectives nito, no? So the objectives of the integrity management program is to build, improve, reinforce, and sustain a culture of integrity in public sector institutions that is rooted in values, principles, and standards of good governance. So to cite a concrete example of the implementation of integrity management program, we in COA have this in IMP, no? So in our website, you can also look at the issuances by COA with regard to the integrity management program. So IMP is actually a tool to prevent the risk of corruption from happening, no? The assessment is focused on integrity risks that might seriously weaken public confidence in the organization and thus affect its credibility, image, and sustainability. So with that, thank you very much for listening. And that ends my presentation on the ethical challenges faced by CPAs in the government and how to overcome them. If you have questions, you can email me at aapcoa20@gmail.com.